A man goes to a restaurant for dinner. He has a seat at a table and opens a menu to find out that none of the foods have prices next to them. He beckons the waiter over and asks, "How much is the Fettuccine Alfredo?" The waiter says, "A penny." The man exclaims, "A penny." "How much for a steak?" the waiter says, "A nickel." The man is astonished. "Are you serious? Where's the man who owns this place?" "I'd like to shake his hand," the waiter answers. "He's upstairs with the kitchen hand, who happens to be my wife." Confused, the man asks, "What's he doing upstairs with your wife?" The waiter smiles and says, "The same thing I'm doing to his business down here." So, a stoner rubs a lamp, and a genie comes out offering 3 wishes. The stoner says, "Okay, for my first wish, I want a 6-inch joint." And poof, a joint appears, and the stoner and genie sit down and smoke it together. "For my second wish, I want a 12-inch blunt." And poof, a blunt appears, and the stoner and genie sit down and smoke it together. "Okay, now for my third wish, I want an 18-inch monster roll with a THC concentrate core." And poof, the biggest blunt you've ever seen appears, and the stoner and genie sit down and smoke it together. Finally, the genie gets up and slowly starts to stagger away. Then he stops, turns his head, and smiles and says, "Okay, man, one more wish." A man and a woman were dating, and he asked her to marry him. She told him that to prove his love to her, she wanted him to get her name, Wendy, tattooed on his penis. When it was erect, it said, "Wendy," and when it was limp, it said, "Why?" They got married and went to Jamaica to a beach for their honeymoon. Wendy asked her husband to get them a drink, so he went to a stand on the beach and noticed the man who was waiting on him also had a Y on his penis. He said, "Oh, you must have a wife named Wendy too." The waiter said, "No, my tattoo says, 'Welcome to Jamaica, man. Have a nice day.'" The Sunday school teacher had just finished the lesson. She had taught the portion of the Bible that told of how Lot's wife looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. Jeremy raised his hand. "My mommy looked back once when she was driving, and she turned into a telephone pole." 2 little kids are in a hospital, lying on stretchers next to each other outside the operating room. The first kid leans over and asks, "What are you in here for?" The second kid says, "I'm in here to get my tonsils out and I'm a little nervous." The first kid says, "You've got nothing to worry about. I had that done when I was 4. They put you to sleep, and when you wake up, they give you lots of jello and ice cream. It's a breeze." The second kid then asks, "What are you here for?" The first kid says, "A circumcision." And the second kid says, "Whoa! I had that done when I was born. I couldn't walk for a year." A truck driver amused himself by running over lawyers as they walked down the side of the road. Every time he saw a lawyer walking along the road, he would swerve to hit him. There would be a loud thud, and then he would swerve back on the road. As the truck driver drove along one day, he saw a priest hitchhiking. He pulled over and asked the priest, "Where are you headed, Father?" The priest said he was on his way to his church up the road. "I'll give you a lift," said the truck driver. The priest climbed into the passenger seat, and the truck driver continued down the road. Suddenly, the truck driver saw a lawyer walking down the road and instinctively swerved to hit him. At the last minute, he remembered he had a priest in the truck and swerved back onto the road. Even though he knew he missed the lawyer, he still heard a loud thud. Unsure of where the noise came from, he glanced in his mirrors. When he didn't see anything, he turned to the priest and said, "I'm sorry, Father. I almost hit a lawyer." The priest replied, "That's okay, my son. I got him with the door." A couple of old ladies were sitting on a patio, speaking to each other about their grandchildren. I send gifts, greeting cards, and checks to my grandchildren, complains one, and still they barely visit me. The second old lady said, Oh, I too send checks to my grandchildren, and they visit me all the time. You are so fortunate to have more grateful grandchildren than I do. The first one sadly replied. The second old lady smiled. No, my grandchildren are about as grateful as yours. So what do you do differently? Are your checks bigger than mine? Asked the first one, surprised. No, chuckled the other old lady. I just don't sign mine. A man who was celebrating his 70th birthday felt like he needed to spice things up a bit, so he decided to pay a visit to a brothel in the city. He strolled around the place, checking out the available options, before he finally spotted a beautiful young lady. The man felt like he had hit the jackpot when the woman agreed to accompany him to her room. Once they were in her room, they both got into bed. The man's performance was so impressive that the woman couldn't help but be amazed. She couldn't believe how energetic and agile he was for his age. After their first round of fun, the woman was so impressed that she offered the man a free session if he could keep up the same level of stamina. The man accepted the offer, but he needed a break to regain his energy. I can do it again, he said, but I need to take a 20-minute nap, and while I'm asleep, I need you to hold my old pecker. The woman agreed to the request, and the man dozed off. 20 minutes later, the man woke up feeling refreshed and ready for round 2. He went at it again, just as vigorously as before, and the woman couldn't believe it. She was even more impressed than before and offered him another free session. Again, the man needed a break and asked the woman to hold his pecker while he took a nap. She agreed, and the man fell asleep. 20 minutes later, he woke up feeling energized and ready to go at it again, with even more enthusiasm than before. The woman couldn't help but ask, I can understand why you need the nap, but why do you need me to hold your pecker while you're sleeping? The man chuckled and said, Oh, that's just so you don't steal my wallet. At a wine merchant's warehouse, the regular taster died. The director started looking for a new one to hire. A retired Marine A4 pilot, drunk and with a ragged, dirty look, came to apply for the position. The director wondered how to send him away. They gave him a glass of wine to taste. The old pilot tried it and said, It's a Muscat 3 years old, grown on a north slope, matured in steel containers, low grade but acceptable. That's correct, said the boss. Another glass, please. It's a Cabernet, 8 years old, southwestern slope, oak barrels, matured at 8 degrees. Requires 3 more years for finest results. Absolutely correct. A third glass. It's a Pinot Blanc champagne, high grade and exclusive, said the drunk. The director was astonished and winked at his secretary to suggest something. She left the room and came back in with a glass of urine. The alcoholic tried it. It's a blonde, 26 years old, 3 months pregnant. And if I don't get the job, I'll name the father.